First You Think is a not-for-profit ministry of the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. Support us at ucdsm.org today.
We face the fact that we exist. Here we are, animals, vertebrates, mammals, apes that we are. I spoke 2 weeks ago about Paul Tillich's 1952 book, The Courage to Be. The courage to be is the courage to face existence, to affirm our own being in spite of those elements of existence which conflict with our essential self-affirmation. To face being, however, also means facing non-being. There is what feels like the little non-being, which is what happens when we change. Birch spoke last week about the courage to change, to face change. We may choose change, decide to go to school or go back to school, or switch careers or move to another city, or move in with your love interest, or move out from who had been your love interest, join the army or join a commune. Big decisions. And then there are changes that we don't choose. A tornado blows down your house. You win the lottery. The stock market crashes. Your love interest suddenly leaves you. You're offered a big promotion out of the blue, or your neighbors decide to elect fascists. Whether it's the change that you choose or don't choose, you face the fact of change and of adapting yourself to the new reality. Change is a confrontation with non-being. What was is no longer. What wasn't now is. Becoming is the interplay of being and non-being. Life changes, even big changes, feel like the little non-being compared to the end of life, the big non-being, or so it seems, so it feels. Unitarian minister Reverend Forrest Church spoke often of these twin truths to courageously face, that we are alive now and we will die. He wrote, "Death is central to my definition of religion. Religion is our human response to the dual reality of being alive and having to die." And when Dan Cryer wrote a book about the spiritual odyssey of Forrest Church, he used that phrase as his title, Being Alive and Having to Die. Our religion, indicates Reverend Church, consists of our response to these two truths, the meaning we make of life on the one hand and of death on the other. It is how we courageously face being and non-being. To explore this, I'd like to begin with the story we heard this morning, I Am Courage. Faith read the lines, "When my mind tells me I can't, I look inside myself and find the strength that lives deep down, and I tell my mind, yes, I can." Sure, positive self-talk can sometimes bolster confidence and resilience, helping you take action, persist in the face of obstacles, and seek solutions. You have probably, however, also learned along the way that it's a good thing to know your limitations, that prudence sometimes tells us, cut your losses, abandon an enterprise rather than continue to pour time and energy into something that's not worth it. But how do we know when to persevere and when to cut bait? The problem is, the voice of prudence may get misappropriated by a self-defeatist, skeptical voice. And when you self-talk, yes, I can, your inner skeptic has some ammo for saying, you sure about that? Maybe you can't. Now, I don't think anybody could have an across-the-board, all-purpose answer to the question of when to push on and when to switch to something more likely to be rewarding. Nor should there be any sweeping general answer. Different people will have different proclivities for persevering versus trying something new, and it's a good thing that we have that diversity. And the same person will, in different types of activities or at different times in their life with the same activity, persist more or persist less, and that variability is a good thing too. But I do have a twist to propose for the self-talk, something that might help a little bit to guard against the possibility that a defeatist voice is prematurely masquerading as the voice of prudence. It's a point I share with you that I heard at a Dharma talk during the 6 months I was in residence at Great Vow Zen Monastery in Oregon during 2019-2020. A day at Great Vow Zen Monastery for the monastics and residents there typically involved a total of a few hours of meditation in half-hour increments, and the rest of the day we carried out work assignments in the garden or in the kitchen or cleaning or fixing something. But for one 7 to 10 day stretch out of every month, we had sesshin. And during sesshin, the meditation bumps up to 15 hours a day. After about the second day, it can feel grueling. Knees hurt, back hurts, mind wanders, and what it's apt to wander to is, I can't do this. One of the monks there, Soten Lynch, gave the Dharma talk one day during a session, and he addressed the I can't voice. I happened to end up with the text of his talk, so I can quote Soten. He said, "When the present moment is so appalling that you need to quit, that you need to die, that the thought of continuing is absolutely terrifying, when it's crystal clear that continuing is not an option, when you have lost all ability to remain present, when hearing a teacher say, be alert, return, is getting really effing agitating, the way out of I can't is not I can. I can is a useless, patronizing self-pat on the back. The way out of I can't is I am. The way out of I can't is awareness of the fact that I am doing exactly what it is that I'm telling myself I cannot do. What you think you can't do, you are doing. You think you can't handle this life? You are living. And if you stay put, and if you continue and let the Sangha hold you, be it this Sangha or the universe itself, a willingness to experience what you're already experiencing can arise. That's what Soten said. So when your mind says you can't, well, you can try telling your mind that yes, you can, and sometimes maybe that'll be enough. Your inner skeptic, however, may have its doubts. Can you? It'll say. Where's the evidence for that? But if instead you tell your mind, I've gotten this far, there is solid evidence that indeed you have. The answer to I can't isn't yes, I can. It's I am. I am in the sense that Soten explicitly indicated of I am doing the very thing that an inner voice is saying I can't. And also I am in the wider sense of I exist. It's that courage to be that answers the I can't voice. When the mind says I can't, first, notice that you are. The universe has brought you forth. By accident, by fate, by cosmic design, doesn't matter. I lean toward highly unlikely fluke myself, but however it happened, it happened. Here you are, courageously facing the fact of existence, which we do by simply wholly bringing awareness to our being, is enough. At least for today, our being persists. So at least for today, we may persist in the projects to which we have set our being. Our projects of becoming, though, are always projects of non-being as well as being. They are projects of change and thus of the death of the person you used to be. How we face our ultimate bodily death is integral to how we face change, chosen and not chosen. Here's a story. Something happened to me in 2006. It was on my 47th birthday, when these markers of another year of life gone by come around. Like many people, I reflect, take stock, review the time past and what might be left. That particular year, I was a half-time minister serving our congregation in El Paso, Texas, and also, with the other half of my time, a half-time minister 300 miles away at our congregation in Midland, Texas. My thoughts on that particular day were not particularly dark or depressed. I was sitting in the minister's office of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Midland on a Thursday mid-morning, running over the inventory of 47 years gone by. I spent a lot of years going to school and getting degrees. I'd had a couple of kids, had some years as a philosophy professor, divorced, remarried. I had started practicing Zen almost 5 years before at age 42. I was coming to the end of my second year as a Unitarian Universalist minister. What did any of that or all of that mean? Soon, my life would be over. What did that mean? And right about then, I don't know why, something inside me clicked. Something let go or fell away, and I had the sensation of a weight falling off of me. I am going to die. In that moment, felt like such good news. Not that this was actually news, but that it was a good thing felt like news. What a relief that I won't live forever. I am not responsible for eternity. I don't have to get it all figured out. No matter how hard I might try, I cannot succeed at immortality. Life is just a little... I might live another day. I might live another 47 years and reach age 94. That doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Either way, it's still a little... and then it's gone. I will leave you with that to contemplate during our interlude. Past, but I have carried with me for the last 18 years now an abiding gratitude for my mortality. We are not given tomorrow, and that makes having today such a joy, such a delightful, beautiful joy. The more we hold awareness of our own death always in mind, the more life feels sweet and vibrant and real. The more life feels alive. Something happened in my neurons, no doubt, and what happened changed my life. It was a break from past patterns where death was something I didn't want to think about, something I distracted myself away from paying attention to. It's not that I'd been afraid of death. I wasn't afraid of it. How could I be afraid of it if I hardly ever thought of it at all? Now, I have the awareness of death as a constant companion. What I realized on that day, others have also realized, as I have since discovered. Native American novelist Louise Erdrich writes, "Your life feels different on you once you greet death and understand your heart's position. You wear your life like a garment from the mission bundle sale ever after, lightly, because you realize you never paid nothing for it, cherishing because you know you won't ever come by such a bargain again. And the Scottish novelist Dame Muriel Spark wrote, "If I had to live my life over again, I should form the habit of nightly composing myself to thoughts of death. I would practice, as it were, the remembrance of death. There is no other practice which so intensifies life. Death, when it approaches, ought not to take one by surprise. It should be part of the full expectancy of life. Without an ever-present sense of death, life is insipid." 16th century French essayist Michel de Montaigne wrote, "Let us deprive death of its strangeness. Let us frequent it. Let us get used to it. Let us have nothing more often in mind than death. We do not know where death awaits us, so let us wait for it everywhere. To practice death is to practice freedom." German philosopher Martin Heidegger wrote, "If I take death into my life, acknowledge it, face it squarely, I will free myself from the anxiety of death and the pettiness of life. Only then will I be free to become myself." Does that make sense to you? If I had read that when I was 42, it would have been a bit murky. But ever since age 47, it seems like perfect sense. Of course, to practice death is to practice freedom. We all know that all things are temporary, right? But we often don't act like we know it. We keep going after achievements and acquisitions as if we thought that they and we were permanent. We go after that job or after that promotion or that partner or that house, and we know, if we stop to think about it, that these things are temporary. Thing is, we don't much stop to think about it. And so we live as if we thought that getting them would be some kind of permanent fix. As Larry Rosenberg wrote, "We know in our heads that we will die, but we have to know it in our hearts. We have to let this fact penetrate our bones. Then we will know how to live. To do that, we need to be able to look at the fact of death with steadiness. We can't just glance at it casually. Then we will know how to live. And when we have grasped that, certain other truths come into view. For one, my thoughts are not me. I didn't choose them. My thoughts are just something that happens to me, like the weather. The story I have about myself, the narrative the mind creates of a hero, me, nobly sallying forth like Don Quixote to do good things, encounter obstacles, heroically surmount them, is just a fabricated story, not particularly true or even particularly interesting. The mind creates an illusory self to be the hero of its story, but all of it is in constant flux. No part of it is permanent, and the line between self and non-self is very blurry. What you are is not that story your mind continuously fabricates, the story with you as the hero. What you are is, well, everything. The courage to be, then, is ultimately a property of the universe as a whole. A young Canadian, aged 22, was a soldier in World War II. He was captured by the Nazis in Denmark, charged with smuggling arms, and sentenced to death. On the evening before his execution, he wrote his final letter. He wrote to his mother, "I know you are a courageous woman, and you will bear this news of my pending execution. But hear me, it is not enough to bear it. You must understand it. I am an insignificant thing, and my person will soon be forgotten. But the thought, the life, the inspiration that filled me will live on. You will meet them everywhere, in the trees at springtime, in people who cross your path, in a loving little smile." That young man saw that the real him was everything, trees, people, smiles, and also weeds and mud and mosquitoes and tears, the whole catastrophe. Death means that one brain stops fabricating a story about itself. The true you is not that story and isn't limited to that one brain. The true you is mountains, rivers, the great wide earth, the sun and the moon and the stars. Everything. Another truth that comes into view concerns the future. I am, like many of us, curious about the future. What new technologies will come along? Will we end war, end hunger, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, secure the blessings of liberty? Or will we descend into authoritarianism for 1,000 years? What new artistic creations will come? I have wanted to live a long life just to see as much of that as I could. I wanted to be there when as much of the future as possible could come. But now, I understand that I will be. I will be there when any future comes, because if anyone is there, then that's me. And it's also you. And the courage to face eternity condenses into the courage to face just this moment, to bring all our awareness right here on what is here exactly as it is. Amen.